Good morning, sirs. I hope that you are having a wonderful morning today, as we are having, the steamers, and we are privileged that you are giving us this opportunity to present our views. This opportunity to present our views of what we think would be the best approach that a Cafe Espresso should use to improve their human resource strategy and be the premier coffee house industry that it previously was. Now, my team and I truly appreciate your audience here this morning, and by the end of the presentation, I hope that we're able to convince that what we present to you is the best solution that is there for Cafe Espresso. Now, who are we? Now, Cafe Espresso is we are the ABRS HR consultancies, and we are a premier consultancy that is recognized globally as a market leaders due to our exceptional quality service, due to out of box solutions that uses traditional and innovative methods and is provided at a reasonable cost. Now, to highlight our strengths, some of the key services that we are famous for worldwide is our talent acquisition, where we are able to hire the right person for the right job. Our employment compliance and management scheme, where we talk with the employees of a company, identify their grievances, identify the problems that they have, and then talk with the whole discussions with the managers and the upper level management, and come to a conclusion about solutions that we can provide to the employees. Next, we have communication training, where we help managers and help employees to identify different channels of communication. May they be presentation, writing letters, phone call skills, etc., 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 and help them into growing into fine communicators, so that information is delivered promptly and on time, and the exact information is given. And lastly is the human capital management and restructuring. This particular part is mostly famous for our mergers and acquisition consultants who want to integrate 2 or more companies into one group, and we help them restructure their whole HR department, so that the transition between the merger or an acquisition is smooth, and the two HR teams of different countries and all the other staff is integrated properly. Now, what is our mission? What we believe our mission is to provide quality service at a reasonable cost to all firms that require our services. And our vision is to integrate traditional and innovative human resource management techniques to provide out-of-the-box solution to our clients, right? And these are the past projects that we have worked on, some of the high-profile cases that we have worked on. We have Bank of England, where we restructured the command chain. We have Santander Bank, where we helped them developing their internship program, one of the highlights of their banks, and one of the best internship program in the banking industry currently. We have Jaguar, where we help set up a performance review program. Next, we have the Virgin Atlantic Group, where we help in establishing an employee scheduling scheme, so that the air staff are given correct timesheets, and none of them are overlapping and such stuff. And lastly, we have the ASTA, where we help in the short-term employee scheme, helping them employ short-term people at what is the best rate to provide, etc., etc. Though we can't give details of these projects due to our confidentiality clause in our contracts, we have given you the contact information. You can always contact them and ask them about our services, and I'm positive that they'll give a positive response to our services. Okay, so why do we want this program? Now, having just finished our last major project a few months ago, the company has identified this particular tender of Cafe Espresso as the next long-term project that we want to partake in. We chose Cafe Espresso because one of the main reasons is because we share the same philosophy of that customer service is the key for any organization to be successful. Human resource management is the key to a successful organization, right? And to achieve this, we need to build a strong foundation. Hence, it requires us to restructure the HR system, to rebuild the HR system that is there in Cafe Espresso currently, and then take it to newer heights, develop from the base up. And this can be a very long-term project, maybe 5 years, 10 years, but we are ready to work with Cafe Espresso for 5 years, 10 years, and help them from the ground up and build it to one of the juggernauts of the coffee house industry. Also, ethically speaking, as a CSR, Cafe Espresso employs 3,300 lives directly. This project that we have right now, if we are successful, we're going to impact these 3,300 people directly and maybe millions more indirectly of the coffee industry. And even though 33 lives are not a joke, and we know that it's a tough job and their lives are depending on our success, and I believe that our team that is present here, we have the right skills that is required, and we'll be able to turn this into a success. And the final factor is a personal reason of mine, and I believe that when I was in UWE, when I was studying my bachelor's, I used to stay a lot in Cafe Espresso. It used to be my place where I would do work, where I would sit down after my classes, sit down, work, or group, and it holds a personal spot. And the success of Cafe Espresso I want to be a part of rebuilding Cafe Espresso into what it was before. Alright, so the team that we have now, these are the 4 leaders that we have. First we have me, my name is Brio Bhattacharya, and I'll be the project leader for this project if you choose to employ our services. Next we have Sudiksha Joshi, who will be the head of employee training. Next we have Alexander Shashta, who is the employee compliance manager currently at our company. And lastly we have Robin Byandinkar, who is the lead talent acquisition manager for ABRS. Now, coming to Cafe Espresso's problem. Obviously there are a lot of problems that we face, that Cafe Espresso face, and if we sit down here and point out all the problems that we have, the 20 minutes that we have to present here, it's just going to go by in a jiffy. So instead of that, we are going to focus for this coming year, where what we propose is for this coming year, we want to research all the problem that is there in Cafe Espresso, but able to assess all the problems and then deal with the major problems. But at that same 1 year span, we can also focus on 4 of the main aspects of any organization, which is the foundation of building a strong HR team. First, recruiting and selecting, getting the right people to do the right job. Second, employee training, where we train the employees to deliver the right services. They understand what they do, what they need to do in their work, and what type of what they are expected to do. Right. Next, we have performance appraisal. How to ensure that employees know that whatever they are doing right, and to praise them when they are right, and to correct them when they are wrong. And lastly, the retention and remuneration program, where we'll be establishing a reward scheme, like through using Porter and Laurer's the intrinsic and extrinsic motivation factors, where we'll be developing a reward scheme and a remuneration scheme according to the employees and their performance, very closely linked with the performance and appraisal program. The project plan is divided into these 4 parts. The project plan is divided into these 4 parts, where we'll be taking 3 trainings for recruitment and selection, employee training, and performance appraisal at least once a month according to your needs. And while the retention and remuneration will be working for 60 days, 2 hours each session, where we'll sit together with the HR team and then establish the whole scheme. While for these 3 programs, we'll be taking trainings throughout the year for all your employees, employed all over Britain. We'll have a central location where a particular area, like all employees of a particular area around that area can centrally meet up, and each month we'll have different training sessions which the employees can attend. And if a person from one particular area misses that training session, he can always go to the training session of the next month, so that he's able to catch up with it. So this scheme is, even though it's small, it's very basic, but it's going to be very thorough, and it's going to deal with the main core issues. And this whole year that we use to assess, we train these 4. You can also assess our services, and determine if you want to use our services to deal with much larger issues, that you have. And if you do, then we'll go on with a more long-term plan, might be a 5 or 10-year human resource strategy plan development, or you can call off our services if you do not like our services. That's up to you. So that way it gives you a fair time to assess our services and if you feel it's justified or not. Now we have Sudiksha Joshi who's going to talk about, Robin, who's going to talk about recruitment and selection. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. I am Robin Bejankar here to train you about how to employ the right person for a right job. We teach you about identifying the right candidate for a right job. This particular training program will help you to identify where the candidate can find or hire good staff, right staff, interviewing techniques, fully identify the potential of candidate, and how to select the right one candidate from all the interviews, and smooth transition of new staff. We recommend this to all staff member with the power of hiring employees, and request all meet to high level staff to attend this. And however, we make this course mandatory to store manager and HR and HR team. Talking about this program, we have four days program with 6-hour session, and that is divided into 2 parts. And after this session, we will have lunch break, and after lunch break, we'll start practical session where we deal and implement skill which we studied in theoretical session. And talking about these schedules, we have, as we said, we have 4 days, Monday to Thursday. In Monday, selecting the correct recruitment method. Tuesday, identifying the correct candidate from internal to external source. Wednesday, identifying the requirement of each candidate, and Thursday, how to conduct an interview. And these are the main area of assessment: ability to attract talented employee, increase in quality application of vacancies, diversity of applicant, and employment of locals. Thank you. Now I like to call Sudiksha.
Hello, sir. I'm the head of employee trainer of ABRS Consultancy. I will be responsible for your staff to ensure that they are properly equipped with the right tools to deliver the best customer service that they have provided. In past 3 years, I have a solid experience of training the employees and teaching them the correct attitude and the staff should adopt while working, understanding the different customers' behavior and their needs, while also identifying the bad habits the employee have in the workplace. As this session will be of 7 hours for 5 days, weeks. The location of the training session will be determined afterward, and we would be subjected how centrally the located it all after the staff members. The seminar will be divided into 2 sessions of 3 hours, and in between there will be a 1 hour of lunch break. After that, we will be talking about the solving any issues with the staff. In Monday we will be talking about the essential skills and the of the exceptional service. We will be teaching about the correct attitude, dressing sense, and talking skills to the staffs. In Tuesday we will teach the RICS personality assessment of practical application. In that session, we will be identifying the different type of customer service and their test and the preference for appropriate assistance. On Wednesday, we will be talking about the customer expectation according to their different personalities. And in that session, we will be teaching them how to identify the type of customer service that the customer wants accordingly. In Thursdays, we will be dealing with the different customers, various situations where the customers is wrong, how to deal with them diplomatically. And Fridays, we will be talking about the customer feedbacks and their response. The importance of in that session, we will be talking about the importance of criticism and how we can use it in our advantage. The main aim of this training program is to improve the customer satisfaction, as if we are providing them the pleasurable service to our customer, and how we will be measured in our areas. This can be done through many methods like customer service, online, and other forms of media. As a simple solution, we can provide them adding the bell to each coffee's house, whereas the customer to ring the bell if they are satisfied. Thank you. Now I'd like to call Alex for further presentation.
Good morning, sir. My name is Alexander Shrestha, and I am the Employee Compliance Manager of ABRS Consultancy. I have previously worked with various organizations for ABRS, and generally I am the person they call in for cases that involve trade unions. In all my working experience, the most complaints that I have heard from employees is that they are not treated fairly. Whilst there are many methods to do this, one simple solution to this that any manager can use is conducting regular performance reviews for any organization to grow over a period of time. The staff that are employed by the organization should also grow with it to support the organization. To ensure that employees are growing with the organization, there needs to be regular assessment of staff with preset goals. This helps the organization to identify the strengths and weaknesses of individuals, allowing them to find areas where employees needs to improve and how the organization can help them grow. We are conducting a training session for 3 days, and it's a 4-hour session. In day 1, we help the employees to establish individual and group goals and formulating a performance assessment criteria. In day 2, we assess the preparation for performance review for managers and employees, and we also inform them about the do's and don'ts in a performance review. In day 3, we also assess the importance of feedback and full disclosure of performance review and what to do after a performance review. The performance appraisal training aims to teach managers the importance of performance review, what to do before, during, and after a review, importance of feedback, and developing a personal relationship. Performance appraisal is about the employees. We will be assessing our effectiveness according to their happiness of the employees. This can be done through the employee turnover rate, employee job satisfaction, and employee service. Thank you. Now I'd like to call you.
As my team has pointed out, there are 3 very important features of any organization: recruiting, training, and then a performance review. But one other factor that remains is motivation. to provide exceptional service that Mr. Michael wants in his organization to be the premier, to provide that coffee drinking experience, employees need to be motivated to ensure that they are able to provide that quality service. So to come to that, what I'm gonna do as my team is I'm gonna work with their HR team, where we're gonna sit together for 60 days, maybe more, for a 2-hour session each. So that's total 120 hours, where we're going to sit down and formulate a plan, a strategy of how to reward your employees to the work that's done. A proper solid plan, like where it's a proper rule book, you could say, that the company could adopt. And if the company takes, and this particular reward system is mostly going to be on the Porter and Lawler motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation factors, where we're going to use monetary benefits, where we're going to use other motivational factors like on-the-job trainings, or maybe providing benefits, housing benefits, insurance, etc. So many things that we can incorporate, and we need to sit down comprehensively to formulate that plan. It needs to be legalized. It's going to be a legal document. So we'll sit down together as a group, your HR team and our HR team, and we're going to help you to formulate that plan of identifying those intrinsic and extrinsic motivation factors. Now, however, if it takes less than the 120 hours that is assigned to us, then there won't be any extra charges to our services. We'll pay for as many sessions that we have conducted, and if it takes more than 120 hours, then all the extra sessions that will be there will be free of cost. So going to our cost structure, we have 3 employment programs, 3 training programs of recruitment selection, employee training, and performance review, followed by the the employee motivation and remuneration scheme. The scheme is going to be charged every day. Our main costing would be the hotel where we're going to host the seminar stuff, their rent, the charge for the staff that's going to be employed, and also the food that we're going to provide during the breaks. So those are the main criteria which we are going to be using to charging, and it's going to be for employee training program. We have a £1,500 per day charge. It's going to be for 5 days, and for 1 month it's going to be 7,500. However, as I have pointed out in the start of this interview, we are going to hold interviews of this training program all over Britain, so that your employees all over Britain could have access to this employee training according. So we're going to hold at least 12 employees, 12 training programs each. So we have an annual cost of each of every year, which is going to be. So in the employee training program, the employee appraisal training program, and the recruitment selection training program, it's 1,500 per day, 1,000 per day for the appraisal training program or the performance review training program, and the recruitment and selection, it will cost 12,000 per day. Very hectic. We know that your staff members need time to work. We can't take all their time, so we're going to keep their project plan very simple. My team has already pointed out the details of each day, but it's going to be 5 days of employee training program, 3 days of performance appraisal training, and then the 4 days of recruitment and selection training. And this can always be edited according to your convenience throughout the whole year. And if you want to take multiple sessions of each of these training, till the time it's not clashing with any of these, you can always ask for other training methods. And for the closing remarks, we understand that the above project does not solve all the problems that Cafe Espresso faces. As this is the first time that our companies will be working together, we have decided to focus on the foundations of a good human resource strategy. If Cafe Espresso is satisfied with our service over the coming year, we will be happy to provide a more comprehensive human resource strategy that would help in providing long-term and in-depth solutions of the more complicated problems by Cafe Espresso. We can help in establishing much more detailed plans about the other problems, like for example the partnership program that Mr. Mitchell wants to integrate in the program. We can get that, but we need the information from Cafe Espresso to assess the current situation first before we take much more major steps and establish a long-term project. And I hope that the next coming year, if we are working together, we are able to impress you by building the strong foundation, and from there we can work forward on a long-term plan. Thank you. I hope you enjoy.